What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Lots of news in the video game world to cover today, and it's only 10:30 my time, and I assume several new gaming stories will pop up. But I looked at an article over the weekend that had run a study on gamers and what they might do outside of video games that may be influenced by the way the females are displayed in the game. Essentially, what we have is a repackaging of the same old kind of assertion that things that happen in the video game world then affect the way people act in the outside world. Now, certainly people do draw influences, or there are certain like catchphrases or things like that that might leave the video game world and enter the real world. But for the most part, these things are benign. Now, there has been a history of trying to link, video games surrounded around like FPS video games to then people doing really bad things in real life. But there's never really been any actual connection there. So we see the article or the narrative move now to a set of different articles that are now asserting that, not very surprising, scantily clad female video game characters can provoke bad behavior against women. We see this article over and over and over getting kind of passed around. What I want to point out is this study is inherently flawed, and this is just another excuse to talk badly about video game players, and specifically, obviously, male video game players. And it seems like the games industry, any chance they get, they do this. I think it's because they also, obviously, will get a lot of clicks out of, hate baiting, I guess the word is. And I want to point out the study's obvious flaws, but obviously you can see that these journalists aren't taking any time to verify the study. And that's why it's appearing on Game Rant and thegamer.com. I wouldn't be surprised to see it show up on Polygon or Kotaku later today as it makes the rounds, because as we know, these people all work together, especially when it involves trying to incense the gaming community. A study titled "The Effects of Scantily Clad Video Games on Online Harassment" looks to answer the question of how games that make females look good, I'll put that way, female characters may influence behaviors of those who play them. All right. Overall studies seem to refute that claim almost entirely. For many years now, there has been almost a singular focus on whether or not video games cause real-world bad behavior. Overall, studies seem to refute the claim almost entirely. You know what's coming next, right? The word but. But for the overall answer remains inconclusive. Really, no study that I know of has conclusively proven any connection. But what? Because you reject that reality, you say it's not. You say it's inconclusive. As some studies exist on both sides contradicting one another, there are studies that are out there that conclude that, but they are inherently flawed. If we look at this study, been conducted by Jonathan Bernay of the University of Liège, Brad J. Bushman of Ohio State University, and Frank Laurie. So 3 dudes at the University of Bergen. The study worked with a whopping 211 participants who all played the game Ultra Street Fighter 4 with customized female characters that were spicy, while some were asked to play the same game with non-spicy female characters. This was done by equipping different costumes, as character customization is a large part of these type of games. I don't know if it's a large part. I would say that a small percent of the community enjoys that, but it is a large part of the revenue, probably, if you're selling this type of things as a microtransaction. After completing these play scenarios, participants were provided with the chance to send jokes to male or female partner. Before seeing the results, the researchers hypothesized that those who played the spicy characters would be more likely to harass female partners than those who played with regular characters. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. This scientific study had no control group. Interesting. Interesting, everybody's citing this as scientific evidence when this basic scientific method wasn't even followed. Nobody's pointing that out, though, because it gave them the conclusion that they wanted. The results were, in fact, showed exactly that, indicating the spicy dressed characters in the games could potentially lead to condition to provoke harassment towards women. The two other results came in that were surprising the researchers. And these results might be why you're not seeing it on Polygon. Okay. First, a greater quantity of jokes were sent to men than women. Second, researchers found that female participants were, quote, significantly more spicy jokes. They sent more spicy jokes than men. Oh my goodness, it's almost like everybody enjoys a good joke. The problem is, this study showed that the women were sending more of them. Some caveats to consider for both expected findings and two surprising ones to be considered. First, the pool of participants was limited at 200 people, and that could do with a future study of a larger candidate pool. Are you fishing for more funding, perhaps? Secondly, the study needs to be replicated by other researchers to support or contradict the finding. Again, hopefully with a larger pool of candidates. Well, sounds like someone's fishing for more money again. Third, it would be also useful to know the proportional division of men and women in the study. Were there 100 of each, making them about half the pool? Were there only 10 of one gender, meaning they only represented 5% of the pool? How about asking for a control group? You have no control group to base your findings against. It delegitimizes the entire study. Still, the initial study of the utmost importance because it kickstarts a conversation that should be occurring anyway. In the future, we hope that others will seek to make their own studies on the subject for us to have greater understanding of online bad behavior. There could also be other associated issues that may be related, but not yet obviously known to us. The entire study can be read here. No. Why would I? You see, Game Rant covers the exact same thing. This has got 2,000 shares. For decades, there have been discussion on whether or not video games translate to real-life bad behavior. There have been a number of peer-reviewed studies that appear, though they appear to be inconclusive. Again, both articles lead with the fact that there's really been no conclusive evidence one way or another, but we're going to write it anyway. Whether one study comes out claiming that video games do cause it, another will contradict it. With many researchers focused on potential link between video games and bad behavior in real world, other ways other games can impact people haven't gotten as much attention, such as how games fantasize female characters may influence the behavior of people that play them. You know what the best study would be? The obvious health risks of the sedentary lifestyle that I myself am too engaged in. That would be an actual study that would probably help gamers. What about having like on-screen displays reminding people to maybe take a 15-minute walk every hour? This type of things to help encourage the health of the gaming community so they can be around longer to buy more of your video games. This would be something that, I don't know, would probably get funded, but it doesn't get as many headlines. The study conducted by these three men looks to answer that question. The study consisted of 211 participants, some asked. So essentially you have the same article just rewritten here by a different person. Secondly, researchers found that female participants sent significantly more spicy jokes than male participants. It'll be interesting to see if this gets picked up on Polygon or Kotaku, and if it does, if they're going to omit that last thing, because ultimately this study proves nothing. It's like it gets you this headline, which is likely, it's like one of those headlines that is likely to be shared around on Twitter a lot because it fits that community. I can't remember if I mentioned this in a live stream or if I mentioned this in a video, but there absolutely is a market for kind of making fun of video gamers. It's a very lucrative market. You can see a lot of articles that paint gamers in a negative light seem to get a lot of retweets on Twitter. There is that community for it, and this seems tailor-made to that. I'll be watching as some of the bigger outlets get going here today on Monday, since this came out on Thursday or Friday. It'll be interesting to see if they cover it and how they cover it. I get a feeling they might. We'll have to wait and see. Hope you enjoyed this video, though. We'll talk to you again real soon.